Oh, come on. It ain't that bad. I'll make it quick. Man. Future triple champ, future quadruple champ over here hating on the cast, telling me, no, daddy, no. Episode 155, all up in your ass. Hit him with that theme music.
I'll be wet for all that dry hate, looking my way while your eyes say you and I may get off like a right lane, but I might strain, pull up lane with a migraine.
Yo, what the fuck is up? Seth Gecko, aka Moody motherfucking Hank, rocking the PeliCANs. The PeliCANs. The play-in champion PeliCANs. We coming for that ass. Where the Bakers at? Whiskey Sick Podcast. Your boy, Seth Gecko, aka Moody motherfucking Hank. I'm rocking with the future quadruple champ. You over there, you heard him. He's hating on the cast. I'm over here setting up. He's like, no, Dad, no. Like, it ain't that bad. I got one view last week. One fucking view, and it took like 5 days to get it. I was rocking a fucking 0 on the last cast. So here's to 2 viewers to this week. Nobody said the climb to the top was gonna be easy. We in this bitch for the long haul. So just remember this date, this podcast, the last one had one. Even the first one had like 13 or something. Anyways, what can you do? You can just keep putting out heat rocks and hope people catch on, and then go back and watch the old shit. What the fuck we got today? We got UFC 273 on deck. We're gonna do a full card breakdown on that shit. NBA playoffs are about to begin. We can start here. What did I tell ya? Now you can say, if you go back and watch the old episodes, you can say, Gecko, you've been saying this for 3 years. I was finally right. At the beginning of the season, I told you the Lakers would miss the playoffs and the Pelicans. Well, I probably said some wild shit like the Pelicans were gonna be in the finals. That was before I knew Zion wasn't going to play the whole season. I'll go ahead and make that prediction for next year. The Pelicans will be in the finals next year. You can put that on wax now. But I also put on wax that the Pelicans would be in the playoffs. The Bakers wouldn't. We got the Spurs. We swept the Bakers. If you didn't know, the Los Angeles Bakers, we swept them 3-0. Ate their motherfucking ass. No bib. Straight up put them on the koala station, head over heels, diaper changed them in the family room. The first time we played them, beat their ass. 28 point shellacking. Second game, we held on late. We came back from 20-something points, 23 points down. We were down 23, came back, ate their ass. And then this last game came down last weekend, came down to the wire, and we beat them, made the plays down the stretch when Bron couldn't. 3-0, knocked them motherfucking asses out of the playoffs, and best yet, insult to injury, garnish that wound with a little bit of salt, motherfucker. We got their top 10 pick. Yes, the year that they absolutely eat dog shit for the whole season. The Bakers have a top 10 pick that goes to the motherfucking Pelicans. Part of the AD trade. Who won that shit now? You wish you had all those motherfucking players back. Don't be like, but we won a chip. You didn't win a chip, homie. You're hanging that motherfucking Boy Scout patch up in the rafters. Ain't nobody buying that shit. It's all on the shelf, homie. Ain't nobody buying that shit. Returning that shit after the 7-day trial period. We ain't buying that shit. We just window shoppers, homie. We ain't buying that shit. Try next door, no soliciting. We ain't buying that shit. Sorry ass motherfucking chip. We won the chip. The fuck you did. And the Doyers didn't either. On that bubble shit. If you were really that shit, you would have come back the next year and won that shit. I told y'all about AD. I sat here on this here podcast and I told y'all motherfuckers. AD ain't about shit. Soft ass baby shit. I told you. I sat here. I know a thing or two about baby shit. I got one right now. I just cleaned that ass. Oh, just we say, my baby just made a AD in her diaper. That's what we consider it, because it's just soft baby shit. That's AD's game. Motherfuckers always talking about he never had teams in the Pelicans. Say what you will about Dell Devs, but he put teams around him. He put as much as he could around them, especially the year we went out and got Boogie. These motherfuckers were boogieing like a motherfucker, two-stepping, boot scooting, whatever the fuck, fucking Macarena, whatever the fuck you want to do. These motherfuckers were getting it on. If you remember, right before that, they were on a 7-game win streak going into the right when I think he either got hurt. Boogie got hurt right after the All-Star break or right before the All-Star break. I can't remember, but we were on like a 7-game win streak. These dudes were starting to play each other. Boogie and AD. I mean, Boogie before that was the injury that set off everything for Boogie's career. I mean, if that doesn't happen, he's probably still one of the best players in the league. I mean, getting Boogie at that time was fucking huge for the Pelicans. And then we lost him. And then what did we go and do? Dell Demps went and got Mirotic. Motherfucker held us down. He played fucking well. And was that the year? Yeah, I believe that was the year we swept the Blazers in the playoffs. We swept them in the first round, 4-0. Dame and CJ. And then we got our asses beat by the I think it was the Warriors, who went on and won the chip that year. So you can't say. And before that, they've made moves. The Pelicans have quietly always made moves here and there. Look at they just did with CJ McCollum. Changed the whole franchise around with that shit. So, you know, AD, I seen enough AD games where this is his motherfucking jersey, homies. Look at this bullshit. Got the motherfucker's jersey on right now. What the fuck you know about? I've been here. Alright? I seen this shit. I seen a dude who don't really like to play basketball. He don't have that motor. He don't have that killer instinct. He just does it because he's good at it and he's tall as fuck. Other than that, if it was in the YMCA or out in fucking in New York on the street courts, what's the major one? I forget the name of it. I'm high, homies. He don't got that heart to compete like that. You go over here right down the street to the fucking YMCA, to the little middle school on Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. You'll see motherfuckers with 1,000% more heart than motherfucking AD. And you can too, wherever the fuck you ball at, wherever you fucking you're playing 21 at, you probably got more heart than AD when it comes to playing basketball if you ball. Motherfucker don't like to do it. You just don't have that. It's okay, you don't have to. It could be a job for you. But he don't even treat it like that, man. And then Braun the other night sitting out on some ankle shit. You just tried to. He came out of ankle retirement to try to whoop the Pelicans' ass. Got his ass fucking. Will Smith slapped the fuck back in the fucking IR or whatever the fuck he's at, saying he's hurt and shit. Get the fuck out of here. You got the fucking playing bubble on the line and you choose to sit out. Oh, his ankle. Look at the picture. I don't give a fuck, homie. I was like 9 years old and did my shit real dirty like that, playing basketball. Went the next night and played soccer, hobbling around. I didn't want to be out. My mom wouldn't even let me play, but I begged her. Coach didn't want to put me in, but I begged him. Played the whole game. Never took a sub. 9 years old. 9 years old, homies. Little baby gecko rocking more biddies than motherfucking AD. I tried to tell you. You didn't want to listen to me. All the Baker homies. I know a lot of Baker homies around here. A lot of Baker homies and Dodgers. They're crawling through here. I told them all. You know what? Every single fucking one, including my wife's dad, my father-in-law. You were fucking right about AD. We gotta trade him. They're talking about that. We gotta trade him. You got to. What else are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And if AD goes, if Bron goes and you're stuck with just AD, I told you that's worst case scenario because he ain't good enough to he ain't that dude. He's not a number one dude. He's a number two dude. If that. If he even plays. You think he's not? You think he's gonna play every single game? There's like 3 more games of the season. You think he plays all 3? There'll be a reason he doesn't. He'll get hurt in the next game. He had to play the last game without Braun. He's like, nah, trust me. Y'all didn't want DeRozan. You took fucking Russ. You didn't want Buddy Hield. You could have got Buddy Hield instead of Russ. Now, whatever, but at least Buddy Hield can shoot. At least you put a shooter out there. A guy who's not going to turn the fucking ball over nearly as much. We drafted him. I know a little bit about Buddy Hield. But the Bakers are done for. I told y'all they wouldn't make the playoffs. I told you the Pelicans would. We're in there. We got the Spurs in the first round. Listen, very winnable game. Very winnable game. Should win that game. And they're saying there's lots of rumblings going on if the Pelicans win that game and get into the playoffs. Zion's coming back. Now, I don't know how I feel about that shit. I follow the Pelicans on Twitter, and I see all their little the super fans. Like every sports team has like their super fan Twitter people who are like Mike Tagg. If you're a Cowboys fan, you know who Mike Tagg is. He's all over Twitter. Shout out. You'll never see this shit. But you know they got so do the Pelicans, and I follow them, and they do these little. There's some shit on Twitter now where you can. It's almost like you could tune into their little broadcast. Like, it's just audio or some shit. I call in. I don't even know what the fuck it... I don't know what it was. But, so I tune in and I listen to them. And everybody's like, hey, if you got a guy of that caliber, you got to bring him in. I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that at this late in the season. I'm probably good at just letting him... we already know he wasn't going to play. I told y'all in December. I said, as soon as they said he had a setback, first setback, I said he's done for the year. They knew that from the beginning that Zion wasn't coming back. They knew that. They just kept saying that, so they didn't want all that negativity that would be around. Oh, fucking shitting on Zion for a year, for being out for the entire year. They wanted to keep leading you along, and then at the very end be like, oh, he's not coming back. I told you that. I don't. You saw when you brought him in early last year. Zion is a dude that. The whole offense, everything has to change. Everybody, BI's game's going to have to change. McCollum's game's going to have to change. And he's scoring off the like crazy, 27-something, 28 points a game since he became a Pelican. All these dudes, all the roles are going to change. You're going to have to. He has to get his touches now. Where are those going to come from? How do we get them to him? Within the offense, within the flow of the other people. All this shit comes into play. And we saw that early last year. They struggled with that. It's going to take time. I think you bring them back at the end of the year. Here's best case scenario. We beat the Spurs. We get into the playoffs. Being 100, we probably lose in the first round, right? I like the Pelicans to go 6, even 7 against Utah. Who's number 2? The Suns are number 1 at this point. It's either going to be a Utah. Who else could be there? I don't think the Warriors are, have been dropping a little bit. The Suns, whoever, it doesn't matter. I think we can take people deep. I think they're sleeping on us. But I think if you put Zion in the mix, I think you're going to slow that offense down. Our offense is on fire lately. We got to let these guys just do it. Let them. They've earned the right to play this out. Zion, we don't know his shape. It's just a disruption we don't need in the offense. Likely, either way, we're going to go out in that first round. I don't know. We'll put it on wax soon. But let's say we do go out in the first round. No big deal. Next year's the year we're playing for. This was all house money, homie. We started out 1-12. 3-16. We still, 7. We're still 8 or so games under 500. But fuck. We came all the way back from the depths, and we did that the year before. We started at like 1-8 or some shit like that. So I'm thinking you just, you bring them in the off season and you just work his motherfucking ass, and you get these guys in the off season to start gelling and shit, and that way, it's seamless going into the next season. And then boom, you got Zion. You give him a little more time to get healthy and put some more weight on that foot. That's, I think, the best case scenario. I think that's what you do. I think if you bring him in now, I think it's going to disrupt the offense. A killer like that, you got to get him touches. Those got to come from somewhere. There's going to be a lot of people standing around, watching him work. Oftentimes, they started letting him bring the ball up late in the season last year, and now the whole offense is now running through Zion. Sometimes nobody else even touching the ball. So these are big things that you have to account for. I say just let these dudes play it out. Let's do it. I'm fine with that. These young gunners, dog. This is the funnest team in the NBA. I promise you, is the New Orleans Pelicans. I promise you that. I all year I've been watching these games. The funnest team. Now there's some teams that are pretty fun that I don't get to watch very often. Maybe like the Hornets. Those dudes are fun. The Bulls when Zoe was out there, but Zoe's dope. Another dude. I wanted to keep him. We invested so much in him. Rebuilt his shot, but he's been out since January. Another dude who can't stay healthy. Who else? Grizzlies, of course. These other teams are dope, but this team right here, Jose Alvarado, you know who this is? Grand Theft Alvarado. This dude's out here in the backcourt stealing shit, hiding out in the corner and shit, and coming up from behind people. He's on some sneak thievery. Mad steals. I mean, this is a fun team. Jackson Hayes. You don't know who Jackson Hayes? You better ask somebody. They another dude they got with the Lakers draft picks. It might have been our own draft pick. I think we took him first. It might have been our own, but we had two first, like top 10 picks. I think a couple years ago we got Jackson Hayes, and I think it was Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who we traded for C.J. McCollum. We turned that pick into C.J. McCollum, and they sent him to Utah. I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker can play. They've been hitting. The Pelicans have been hitting on their drafts. I can't say enough about Griff. I know people were down on Griff for a little. I think this dude. He destroyed the AD trade. He came in. They brought him in basically for the AD trade. He destroyed that shit, and in a good way. I mean, fuck. We fleeced their pockets to the point that they have a shitty pick, and it goes to us, which means we're gonna get a top 10 fucking pick to add to Zion, CJ, and fucking BI, and Valanciunas. And Herb Jones, Rookie of the Year. Who? Herb Jones. So this is my victory lap. I don't give a fuck about y'all. I earned this shit. I ain't repping that, the fucking Bakers, any of those fucking, nah. Pelicans, homie. Pelicans. I told y'all. We here now. You got to deal with us. We're a dangerous team for anybody who has to face us in that first round. I hope we get by the Spurs. Spurs always kind of got our number, and Popovich, that motherfucker's like Bill Belichick. He's always gonna come correct. He's gonna have that team playing. So that's gonna be a dope game. I think we still have 2 or 3 games left. Can't really play for anything. I think it's pretty much set in stone. We're gonna get to 10, or it doesn't really matter. I think we're playing the Spurs. I don't know. Anyways, so there's that. What else is going on? Baseball about to start up. We'll see about the Angels. I don't know. Had a good spring training so far. Scoring a lot of runs. Didn't do much for the Rendon. Have a couple dingers. So hopefully he's feeling better. He finally got that surgery. We didn't do much on Trout coming back. I mean, Trout we didn't have since I think before the All-Star break last year. So having Trout back in the lineup is 10 wins right there by itself. We didn't do much for the pitching staff though. So that's still gonna be our downfall. But I'm hoping these motherfuckers can make the goddamn playoffs at least. We'll see. What else do we got? We got UFC 273. I'll keep this one brief this time, man. Nobody's going to watch this shit anyway. So what am I doing on here for like an hour talking to the motherfucking walls? I got the quadruple champ, future quadruple champ over here staring me down, mean mugging me, ice grilling me right now. Holding the little Thomas train. He's just like holding it menacingly, like threatening to throw it at me or something. We got UFC 273. We'll break this down. Simmer down, young man. Simmer down. This dude, he's quiet as a mouse until he sees me get on the cast, whether I'm doing the podcast, talking in the mic or here. Then now he starts bouncing all around and throwing shit. Listen, this is the real life podcast. We don't have the luxury of having a nice little airtight studio and having the nanny watch the kids and shit like that. It's I got a parent, I got a pappy, and do the motherfucking podcast. I mean, that's just what it is. Moving right along. UFC 273. We got Volkanovski versus the Korean Zombie. Listen, Volkanovski called this. He made this fight. I mean, he basically called this dude out and said he wanted to fight him next. Taking the easy. I'm not gonna. Not the easy, but definitely the easiest way out. I would have thought Yair Rodriguez would have been in line. You know, that fucking war that he was in with Holloway. So originally this fight was supposed to be Holloway, the rematch. After, you know, two close fights? Two close fights. So this would have been another third fight. And which made a lot of sense. You know, because that was a hell of a scrap. Beating that Yair Rodriguez that showed up that night was a big win for Max Holloway. No matter, you know, what kind of favorite he was heading into that shit. That was a crazy Yair Rodriguez right there. And he's very dangerous to anybody. To Volkanovski, that's a style that's very hard to train for. It's not that, you know, technical, you know, kickboxing. It's everything. It's spinning attacks, karate attacks, taekwondo attacks, Muay Thai attacks, boxing attacks. It's so much, and the way he puts it together, and he showed that he has the cardio to go hard. I mean, this dude starts, you know, letting the strikes go. Yair, I mean, he's throwing. You saw him against Max. I mean, he had Max. He was hitting Max with some shit. That shit on its lip had some shit on its lip. I mean, he was putting hands, kicks, feet, shins, toes, everything up on this dude. And you know, Max weathered through, you know, pressure, volume, you know, kind of weathered him down and gave you know, Max the edge. But it was a dope fight, and definitely no loser in that fight. And he made sense if that wasn't going to... you know, honestly, I would rather see Brian Ortega fight him again than see Korean Zombie. And listen, Korean Zombie is one of the dope dudes of all time in this division. I mean, you remember him back in the day? He just ain't that dude. Back in the day, he was all like subtle slips and counters, you know. Oh, boom, coming back, short little choppy steps in and out of the pocket, side to side, boom, boom, step off, boom. Boom, boom, step off, boom. You know, he's hitting angles. He real subtle. It almost looks like he's just, you know, shadow boxing. It just, when Shang Tsung, I was gonna call him Shang Tsung. Zombie was gonna when he was in his prime. That's all it is. Just little boom. No wasted movements at all. The thing about Zombie with the head movement and shit, all you young fighters out there, one of the big things is when you're teaching somebody to, you know, to slip, to crouch, and stuff like that in the roll, is not exaggerating that shit. You don't have to go all the way down to your motherfucking knees like you see Guillermo Rigondeaux and some of these dudes do. They can get away with that shit in boxing because they don't get kicked or kneed in their fucking face. But also, you know, those are, you know, exaggerated moves make it less likely that you're going to be able to counter. When you just need to move just a little bit, just to make it miss, you can counter a lot quicker. That was the Korean Zombie. That was his fucking game. He's gonna I haven't seen that guy show up. He got boxed up by Brian Ortega. Now Brian Ortega, you know, he has decent stand up. I'm not you know, talking shit about his stand up. It's solid at times. He won that 5th round against Volkanovski after all that ass whooping he took. Motherfucking his fucking cheeks getting clapped in that at the you know, end of that 3rd round, into that 4th round. Came back and won the 5th round. Now maybe you can say Volkanovski was, you know, felt like he was up pretty good and had, you know, already, you know, clinched that fight, and he took the round off and didn't want to just, you know, get caught. When you try to not get caught, it's like playing the prevent defense. When you go and start playing the defense you haven't been playing the whole night, you start getting burned. What's the difference if you get burned on 1 play or you get burned by 3 plays down the field? What's the difference if it takes, you know, 8 seconds versus 14 seconds? It doesn't fucking matter, right? You're playing not to win. You prevent defense is prevent you from fucking winning. And that's what, you know, you saw Volkanovski go into that prevent umbrella defense late in that fight, maybe. But for Ortega to have that kind of gas tank after taking the beatings that he took, I mean, go look at the end of the 3rd round. This motherfucker couldn't even get up. I thought they were going to wave him off right there because you have to get up. That's called answering the bell. And, you know, they ran in there. I can't remember if they ran in there and picked him up, but you'll see that often. But that's what they're doing. When they pick him up, you have to pick him up because the guy has to get up to technically finish the round. And the fight. That's true at the end of the fight, too. The guy has to get up That's why you see guys choked out at the buzzer. They're like, you'll see the ref just sitting there waiting for him because you got to get up. And Ortega was Dunskies. His homies had to pull him up to the fucking chair. I mean, he was Dunskies. And still, if you look at Brian Ortega at the end of the third round, between rounds, and then in the fifth round, you're like, holy shit. He showed something. That's dog in him. So that's why I would have even rather seen a fucking rematch. Because he definitely had a chance to win that fight. I just, beating Dan Ige and taking him down and kind of playing this soft, safe game plan for the Zombie. I didn't think, beating Dan Ige was a title clincher. And when you had some these other dudes out there. But hey, it's the fight we have. If the old Zombie is back, because he made, where I was going with that was he made Brian Ortega look like motherfucking Canelo out there. Because he came out so flat-footed. I had never seen that Zombie before. That was the first time I've seen the current Zombie, who was just flat-footed, no movement at all, just taking shots, not really answering back, low output, no combinations. And then Ige, I don't know, I couldn't tell if he really, fixed that or if it was just a mental lapse or anything, because he worked a real wrestling takedown heavy type of game plan, and whatever. I mean, a dub's a dub. And now he's fighting for a title. But listen, I saw a different Volkanovski. I've always been on here just telling you, like, Volkanovski is like the West Coast offense in MMA personified. I mean, that's what he's the Steve Young of MMA. It's just slowly matriculate with small plays, matriculate the ball up the field. That's Volkanovski. Nothing crazy. Nothing. He's just gonna point you. He's gonna out technical you. He's gonna chop away. Pepper your legs and then open up with some hands here and there and do enough to win the fight, win the rounds, win the fight. Up until the motherfucking Brian Ortega fight, where Brian brought the fucking dog out of him, and you saw that this guy, when he opens up, is like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, this is okay. This is the guy. This is that guy. Sometimes it takes, so I don't know how that can't come out of you, against Max. I mean, it kind of did after he got dropped in the second fight in the first round. It kind of came. But even then, there were times where I think, even Max kind of, faded late, with his output. They just kind of respected each other a lot. And it got to a point against Ortega that, Volkanovski just said, fuck it all. And they spent all that time on the TV show and shit together on The Ultimate Fighter. So, I don't know, maybe he just felt comfortable, seeing him and being around his aura. That's the thing, too, when you just, right next to somebody, holding somebody, they probably, they're very familiar with each other. Just getting that scent for each other. So, maybe that had a lot to do with it. So we'll see. I want to see that Volkanovski. If Volkanovski, called this motherfucking fight, you got to go and finish this motherfucking fight. I think it's going to be a decision. Zombie's a tough dude. Tough dude. We saw him get finished to the fucking Ombach elbow. The Yair Rodriguez Ombach elbow. Don't forget that shit. Face first at the fucking buzzer. Walk off game 7 or game 6. What was it? Joe Carter. Was it game 6 in the fucking dome? Walk off, World Series winning home run. That was motherfucking. That was that fucking back elbow. Just smacked my head. And Zombie went down. That's the only time I could really remember him being finished. So, listen, go out there and finish him. And that's what Volkanovski's got to do. I'm taking him. He's a mess. I think. Is he minus 700 or some shit? He's a massive favorite, Volkanovski. Is there a way that Zombie could win the fight? Yeah, if the old Zombie shows up and he's got to make Volkanovski miss, and he's got to throw combinations, and he's got to be far more aggressive. He's not going to be able to go in there with a Danny game plan and score little trips and little takedowns and shit, and do enough to win the rounds. That's not going to happen. You're not going to take a Volkanovski down. That's not going to happen. I think the way that, if I remember correctly, the way that Ortega even ended up in that position wasn't from a takedown. I think he slipped and fell after he missed a punch. Volkanovski missed a punch or a kick or something. I think he slipped or tripped. Something happened that led to a scramble that led to him being in that position. So it's not that Ortega was able to go in there, shoot a double, hit a single, underhook trip, whatever. He wasn't. I don't think if I remember correctly. But and I don't see. So I mean, Volkanovski's hard to get down, super hard to get down. So I think this fight's tailor made for him to win. I think he knows that. So if you're gonna call that shot like that, you got to go and finish it. But yeah, if the old zombie shows up, yeah, a couple years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, zombie he shows up, yeah, for sure. If old zombie versus Volkanovski, for sure, we're in for a fucking banger. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm kind of expecting Volkanovski to kind of show some shit right here and just flawless victory this bitch. Aljo. When you mention phony fucking titles, you're thinking Astros, 2017 Astros. You're thinking Jermaine Durandamy. If we're talking, fighting, we're talking 2020 LA Sports, the Bakers, the Doyers, bullshit titles, bubble titles, sorry ass titles. Aljamain Sterling, he's hanging that fucking banner up in that fucking hall too, of dubious whack ass fucking non-chip, asterisk chip having ass motherfuckers. Aljo's title is there. Now, I don't dislike Aljo at all. I think Aljo's a dope motherfucking fighter. I think he's dangerous as a motherfucker. I think of all the big, heavy underdogs at the top of this card, I think he's probably got the best chance to win. You saw him push a heavy pace in that first round. But I implore you to go, if you watched that first fight and only saw it the first time, to go back and watch that first round, because a lot of people's impression, including mine until I watched it a second time, was that, Aljo just kind of, dominated that first round. That's not true. He dominated like the first 2 minutes. He came out and he was throwing, all kinds of snap kicks, landing some punches from the outside, lots of kicks, lots of kick heavy, up the middle kicks, and he was chipping away, landed some big shots. But he also got sat down in that first round, late in that round, and the last minute and a half, 2 minutes of that round was Jan starting to take over, and so it was a close round actually. When you factor in that he literally dropped him with the right hand. He dropped Aljamain Sterling in that first fight, and then after that, the second round was pretty competitive, but then it started. You started seeing in that third round, Aljo just couldn't keep that pace up. He started to fade. And Jan was starting to take that fight over in that fourth round. That knee was, it was illegal as fuck. You got to know better than to do that shit. But homie had been hit with the kitchen sink his entire career. He got knocked the fuck out by Marlon Moraes. Remember that shit? He got knee kicked in the head. Marlon was throwing a round kick, and Aljo was kind of coming in, so the knee actually connected with him and just blasted him into fucking, he was straight fucking just stiff as a motherfucking board. Out. You remember that shit? And he got up quicker from that. Fucking 20 seconds later, he was chilling on the stool and then up, getting his arm, he was fine. All of a sudden, he takes this knee. I'm not saying it wasn't a hard knee. He got hit square in the fucking face. But this motherfucker was like, he turned soccer player. He turned straight up, like he's in Afghanistan fucking walking a minefield and stepped on an IED or some shit. I mean, he's like, totally acting. I mean, he didn't act anything like that when he got really fucking knocked out. And then all of a sudden, he's like, like he's Van Damme. Remember, Van Damme got that shit thrown in his eyes. He's like, remember that shit? He's up. And he can't see shit, and it's all blurry, and he fucking, and Kung Lee's over here doing, and all this shit. That was how Aljo looked. He's like he didn't know where he was and shit, and he's falling back down on the ground and crying. Go back to that video. Right before that, the fucking ref fucked it all up because he's right next to the guy. He's right next to Aljo, and he says to the guy, I'm going to stop it. It's going to be a DQ if he can't continue. Aljo hears that, right? There's no way he didn't hear that and realizes this fight ain't going my way, but I can win it right now if I don't answer the motherfucking bell. Now, I could be totally off. I don't know what's in another man's head, but I'm just going by what I fucking saw. I can have an opinion, motherfuckers. You can hit me with the disinformation, whatever the fuck you want. Hit me with the little fucking, need context, added context at the bottom. I don't give a fuck. You don't need a body to try the motherfucking case. I got plenty of circumstantial evidence right here. And he took that way out. Now, look, maybe it was smart. Maybe he knows that he's never going to get another title shot again, or it's going to be a hell of a road to try to get another title shot again. They're not going to give him an immediate rematch. He does this, at least he's going to get a rematch, and he's the fucking champ. And he gets that champ pay again. Or for the first time. Because he would have been the champ. So, and you know, I don't know if they get the, you know, some of the pay-per-view buys. I don't know how that works. But, so I'm sure, you know, you're like, well, that's a lot to think about real quick. Come on. No, it's not. So I think he took, I think he was looking around. You saw him looking around for the motherfucking exit. Usher came over and took him straight over that shit. The homie was looking all around for that exit, and he saw that shit. He saw that shit. And he took it. I did not say I blame him. Many of us probably would have done the same fucking thing. But it is what it is. He had the pewter belt, the fucking Cracker Jack prize belt. That's what he's rocking right now. It is what it is. I didn't make the rules. Just follow him. Jan went over there and beat Corey Sandhagen pretty impressively. And he's the dude. He's the dude. And you can say, Aljo did too, motherfucker. You beat him in like a minute. Yep. And that's how he's going to win this fight. He's got to create some chaos that leads to some kind of wild scramble. If he gets your back, it's a wrap. Even if you're Peter Yan. This dude's nasty if he gets you in the mount, if he gets you in the back. You know, I think, you know, is he better off on the ground? I don't know. Jan's a lot to handle on the feet, man. And he gets better and better as the fight goes. He starts like, this motherfucker's doing calculations in those first couple rounds. I mean, because by the end, you go look at this shit. He comes out slow. He's taking shots, but he's covered up, and he's, you know, he took a couple big shots in that first round, but then by the end of the, you know, into the third round, he knows everything that Aljo's doing, and he's tripping him. He's throwing him all over the fucking cage. It was like when you got into your first fight in the sandbox, and you're just like, you know, tripping each other. I mean, these trips, you know, it looks juvenile and shit, but those things, people hate getting tripped like that. When you're training and you got a motherfucker who's really good at that, especially when they kick and sweep you at the same time, or they just clinch up with you real quick and just dump you on your ass all the time. Muay Thai dudes are real slick with this shit. There's nothing more fucking annoying than that shit. This motherfucker Jan uses those trips like to the effectiveness of a double leg, of a good double or single leg. I mean, he's legit with that shit. So I think he's just better than Aljo everywhere. But if there was one guy, I think he's like plus 375 right now. If there's one guy at the top with those odds, because you know Khamzat is like minus 510 or something against, I think Gilbert Burns is probably in that plus 3 something range also. I'd take Aljo before I took him or Zombie. If you're just going pure fucking underdogs, you know, and if you're playing that Volkanovski fight, you probably, you know, have to play a finish, you know, maybe a late finish on that if you want to bet on that shit. But I'd give Aljo the best shot of that, because he could, if he can create that chaos. He's damned if he does, and he's damned if he doesn't with that pace that he came out with in the first fight. He got off to a good start. He got off to a good lead, and you know, there was a little bit of a blueprint right there in how you could possibly, you know, have success against Peter Yan. But the damned if you do is that you gas. There's no way you can possibly keep that pace. He couldn't possibly keep that pace. And Aljo's a fucking cardio machine. But it was even too much for him. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I just think you gotta fast play this fight. You just gotta try to go just throw shit against the wall, fucking go for broke in the first couple rounds, first 2 rounds, and then, you know, if it doesn't get done after that, then fuck it, so be it. Go into fucking survival mode or whatever the fuck you gotta do for the last 3 rounds, or you know, you pick your spots wisely, you know. But give me Peter Yan, give me TKO round 4. Volkanovski, I'm gonna take decision. I don't know if I gave you that. Khamzat versus Gilbert. We're going to find out how good Khamzat is. If he walks through Gilbert Burns, there it is. And I'll tell you this. He's going to walk through Gilbert Burns. I know a lot of you motherfuckers out there, a lot of people are like sleeping on Burns, dropping money. It's a good bet. It's a good bet. If it stays on the feet, Gilbert Burns' hand speed is fucking nasty. Go watch the Usman fight. He was the closest to finishing Usman that really anybody's been. And how did he do it? He did it with hand speed. Those quick, explosive hooks that he throws. Usman didn't even see him coming. He had no idea those punches were on the way. He never saw them. And that's scary when you're getting hit and you don't know what you're getting hit by. And that's what happened to him. But then he faded. He faded super quick after that. He put all the eggs in one basket. Hey, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe that's exactly what he had to do, and it didn't work. It didn't work. That's always a game plan. You don't have to play these fights for 5 fucking rounds. If you don't have the tools to go 5 fucking rounds anyways, shorten that fight up. Say, I'm making this a 2-round fight. I'm going for broke in those first 2 rounds. I'm going for broke in the first round. Whatever it is. I think Gil Burns got to do that on the feet. He's got to sell out. He's got to. But fucking this dude comes out. I've been watching this dude. I know it's practice. We talking practice? Yo, I've been watching this dude's training footage because we don't have a lot of fight footage on him. At least not standing. He looks to have some slick striking too. Slips to the. My shit is when you know somebody's real good is when they can land that liver shot. When they can counter liver shot you, when they can wait and sit on one of your strikes, usually your right hand, and slip it and rip you to the fucking body, come back to the head. That shit's a sign. That's like a sign of high level striking. Trust me. Just that one little combination, that one little subtlety. It's a very good sign that liver shot. When dudes throw that liver shot, you don't see that a lot. You might think you do, you don't. Especially to do it the correct way. And to set it up. Just throwing them willy-nilly is going to get you knocked the fuck out. It's like throwing uppercuts just willy-nilly. You're going to get knocked the fuck out. You got to set those things up. You either got to, counter with them, or you got to put something in front. Usually the 1-2, that 1-2 liver shot, that's my favorite combination. That's the money combination. You see motherfuckers getting that off, they got good hand speed, they have good footwork, they have good range, they have everything. I've seen that from Kamzat in training, but the wrestling, we already know. This dude's just taking everybody and dumping them on their motherfucking ass. And all those dudes over there in Sweden, they're saying he's taking Lir Latifi down and dominating Lir Latifi. Anybody who's ever talked about this dude, they all say, this dude is that dude. And here's what you got to think of. Gilbert Burns came up to 170 from 155. He just had the KO loss to Dan Hooker. And Kamzat is still training, is still competing at welterweight. He's not done. I mean, with middleweight, he's not done there. He's got a 1-punch knockout of a big ass dude named Gerald Mearshart, who's no fucking chump. Mearshart, who's he's no scrub. He made him look like one that night, but he's no scrub. Go look at that dude's dubs. He beat Muradov. What's his name? Nasty motherfucker. And he 1-punch knocked him out. So he has 1-punch knockout power. We know that at middleweight. And he's coming down, he's been competing, but a dude that can compete at middleweight and probably for a title is coming down to welterweight, and you got a guy coming up. The size and strength advantage is going to be a ton. He can just pick Gilbert right up. He can just pick, just like you saw him do with Jing Liang. Now Gilbert's way better than Li Jing Liang. The armpit, the armpit, aka the armpit. We know that, but go watch Jing Liang defend that first takedown. The takedown that led to his demise. He defended it very well right off the bat, and Kamzat just stuck to him, got to his back, and then he just lifts him up. And he just carries him. Because once you lift the guy up off his feet, there's nothing he can fucking do. If he gets in on Gilbert and gets him up off his feet, it's over. It doesn't matter, how good fucking Gilbert is. How's he going to get that motherfucker off of him? I don't see, he's not going to, I know he's got submissions. I know he's, a jiu-jitsu black belt. I know all this. But he's not going to, this is a different dude. The ground and pound is there. I think Kamzat, TKO. Maybe a rear naked choke. Let's go rear naked choke round 2. It is what it is. Could Gilbert win this? Sure. He's got to keep it on his feet, and he's got to just fucking throw fucking hands. Heavy hands. He could do it. He can land the quick hands. I'm not saying he has a 0 shot at this. I just think that, all these people that think it's, sleeping on Gilbert, it's at least going to be a great fight. I don't think it is. I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong, once. I was wrong one time. This could be another time, but I think Kamzat walks through him again. I don't know. And if he does, if he does, his next fight he'll be the champion. I think he beats Usman. And I love Usman, and you know I love Usman, and I think maybe Khamzat might be the only guy that can beat Usman now. So we'll see. Mackenzie Dern versus Tisha Torres. This is a dope little scrap right here. Mackenzie Dern's like a sneaker that don't sneak. She's a grappler who can't wrestle. She got no takedowns. She fucked me over in the Marina Rodriguez fight. The one time she got it to the ground in the second round, she damn near finished it just like that, but she couldn't. And the rest of the 4 rounds were all on the feet, and she just got picked apart. She's got Donkey Kong striking on the feet. It's just fucking haymakers, just to try to get that clinch, And when she can't do it and she can't get the fight, if she can't get down the fight early, it's not her chances of getting the fight down late. Don't get better. And Tisha's a tough, quick little fighter, strong, and she's tough to take down. On the feet, I think she's quick enough to get in and out, use those side kicks, use those little snap kicks. I think she can outpoint Mackenzie Dern on the feet. I think that's the route. If I'm betting this fight, I'm betting a Dern submission. That's the only way to go if you're playing fantasy or some shit like that. Dern's the only way to go, because if this fight ends in a finish, it's going to be Mackenzie Dern finish. Tisha Torres cannot finish Mackenzie Dern. Dern can finish Torres. I think Torres only has like 2 finishes in her whole fucking career, so she's not going to finish Mackenzie Dern. Tough as a motherfucker. I'm going to say decision. This is a complete coin flip. Because if Mackenzie does find a way to get Tisha Torres to the mat, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I mean, this is one of those instances where Tisha can't go to the ground at all, and that's a gamble right there. Saying betting on Tisha is that she's not going to touch that mat at all. Her ass isn't going to touch that mat. There's a good chance that might happen because Dern struggles like that. So especially if she can't get it there in the first round, coming into the second round, Tisha Torres, she's going to come straight at you and try to get that clinch and try to, knee tap you down to the ground or trip you to the ground. You got to be on your bike. You got to don that yellow jersey and fucking take laps around that motherfucking cage. Lateral movement. So give me Tisha Torres decision. Nick Pichel versus Marco Madsen, because Gastelum versus Duplessis. Gastelum had two opponents, and then he ended up getting knocked out. That Duplessis fight was kind of interesting though versus Gastelum, Duplessis or whatever his name is. But we lose that, so this one comes up. This is actually a dope fight. Marco Madsen's a silver medalist in Greco-Roman wrestling in the 2016 Olympics. Really solid wrestler. He's more of like a chest-to-chest, chest-to-back type of wrestler. That's what Greco is. Freestyle is more of like double legs, single legs, and stuff like that. Not that he doesn't have doubles and singles, but he's more of like a clinch work, collar ties, underhooks, that kind of shit. Trips, suplexes. I mean, he came out in his first fight with suplexing motherfuckers all over the place. His stand-up is nothing to look at, but it's kind of effective. He's one-punch striker. He's got pretty good power in his right hand. He can kick pretty hard, not technically though. He doesn't kick technically well. But listen, when you kick somebody's leg, you don't have to kick like a fucking Thai fighter. If I just stand here and toe punt your motherfucking thigh, it's gonna fucking hurt, right? So that's where leg kicks and kicking is effective. As long as you land with your shin, it doesn't really you can do damage. It does matter, but you can do damage. He's not coming out here throwing getting that hip turning over looking like Pedro Hizzo and shit, or Henry Hooft or fucking Ernesto Hoost. He's not looking like those guys. Rob Kamen. But he's got effective, strikes, aggression. He's not afraid to engage, even though his striking's not really that great. Vince Pichel's just a nasty motherfucker. This dude, I think of him, I've always thought of him more as a grappler, wrestler type dude with good top game. But he's got sneaky good striking. I mean, he can strike out of any stance. He's good at pivoting backwards and striking on his way out. He throws with his hands low. He's coming over the top. He's coming from the side. He's coming from the bottom. He's throwing from different peripherals. All these different angles, and he's moving out of the way. He's just an unorthodox, tricky motherfucker on the feet, and he's got some sneaky ass power. I think. And he's good on the ground. He's going to be tough for Madsen to get to the ground. And we saw Madsen have trouble getting Clay Guida to the ground. I thought Clay Guida won that fight, actually. I picked Madsen in that fight, but I thought Guida actually won that fight. that turned into just a straight kickboxing match. And if that happens against Vic Michel, or at least for most of the fight, I think Vic Michel just has more tools to win this fight. And so I'll take Vic Michel. I think I'll go decision. Sick ass fight though. That's a sick fight. That was originally on the undercard, so I'm glad that one got to the main card. That's a sick main card. Go quick. Ian Gary, the hype train, the new Irish hype train versus Darian Weeks. I'll say this. I don't quite see it with this dude, Ian Gary. I think there's a lot of holes in his striking. He's got a lot of good shit. He's a good counter puncher, step off right hand, no head movement, very upright, very hittable. You saw Williams, fuck his name was, I forget the dude. His first fight, Ian Gary's first fight, something Williams. Ah, man. Look, a dude that can crack on the feet. Or a southpaw dude was giving Ian Gary in his debut all he could handle, really, until Gary, at the buzzer, at the end of the first round buzzer, slipped back and hit a nice counter right hand that dropped him, and he won that fight. But I saw holes. I think Darian Weeks is another. He's more of a wrestler striker. Made his debut on short notice against Brian Barberena. He's got power. Mostly all wrestler strikers do. But it's very, very basic combinations. He's got the wrestling. I don't know, much about Ian Gary's wrestling or grappling. I'm just gonna say Gary. We'll go Gary TKO round 2. Stiffer competition though in the future, we'll see. Jairzinho Rosenstrike, Marcin Tybura. Is either going to be a fucking... Marcin Tybura is either going to end up asleep after the first round, or we're all going to be asleep after the third round. One way or other. It's either Marcin Tybura is going to score the takedowns and hold top position and get that victory, or he's going to get knocked the fuck out. Jairzinho Rosenstrike throws about 4 punches per fight. All he needs is one to land, and if it doesn't, you're like, what the fuck was this guy doing in there? His corner will be screaming and yelling at him to throw punches, and he just won't fucking do it. So Rosenstrike is probably the worst fighter in the UFC, like OSP, to bet on. You don't know what the fuck this guy's going to do. Well, you do know what he's going to do. He's going to do nothing. But is he going to be able to knock the dude out with that nothing? A lot of times it's yes. He'll do nothing against Overeem, and then on the last 4 seconds, he knocks him the fuck out. Jokers that motherfucker's lip into the fucking, into the view. They're up there scrapping each other in the view ball arena, and this fucking Overeem's lip just lands over there and some shit. That could very well happen here. Marcin Tybura should spend 0.0 seconds striking with this motherfucker. Come straight out like, remember Heath Herring versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's debut. Remember that fucking Goldberg spear across the cage? That's what he needs to do every single time. If he gets his Rosenstrike on the ground, he'll win it. I say he does, because I just can't trust Rosenstrike to go out there and do anything. You got to put spikes on this motherfucker's head just so birds don't come and land on him and shit on the top of his motherfucking head during his fights. Jebediah Springfield ass motherfucker. Give me Marcin Tybura decision. But I probably, I think Rosenstrike's definitely the favorite. Better finish on that shit. Aspen Ladd versus Raquel Pennington. Give me Raquel Pennington decision. Mike Malott versus Mickey Gall. Mike Malott was on the Contender Series. He's from Canada. He's got some skills. I've seen a lot of his older stuff. Mickey Gall's kind of, he's kind of better than you think he is. He's a tough out. He's got heart. He always gets lumped with that CM Punk shit. Give me Mike Malott. Give me decision. Jared Vendera versus Alexi Olynyk. Who the fuck knows? Olynyk's either going to get the Ezekiel choke in the first round, or he's going to get knocked out in the second. Give me the Ezekiel choke in the first round. Alexi Olynyk for number 60. Career win number 60. Let's get it, Alexi Olynyk. Anthony Hernandez, Fluffy Hernandez versus Josh Frem. Don't know a lot about Josh Frem. Seen a couple of his fights on YouTube. Give me Anthony Hernandez. He's a tricky little motherfucker. He's got subs in his back. He's got some sneaky good striking sometimes too. He's just not very defensive. But he's got subs. He subbed Vieira, Rodolfo Vieira. Remember that shit? Survived the storm early and then started putting hands on the motherfucker. Started fucking eating that ass in the second half of that round, and then just fucking, I think it was a Darce choke or Anaconda choke. Rodolfo Vieira. That was crazy. So give me Anthony Hernandez. Give me Darce choke round 2. Piero Rodriguez versus Kay Hansen. Man, Kay Hansen is one of those fighters that kind of disappointed me a lot. Give me Piero Rodriguez decision. And Julio Arce versus Daniel Willie Cat. Oh, Willie Cat Santos. I think this Willie Cat, I think he's like plus 160. I'd put a little dough on him. I think this guy, he reminds me a little bit of a Robbie Lawler. He looks like Robbie Lawler. He's got some sneaky good striking. I don't know a whole lot about him. Again, another guy making his debut. I just seen some YouTube stuff. I think he could give this dude Julio Arce some problems. I like Julio Arce. He disappointed me in his last fight, though. It didn't look anything like the Julio Arce of previous fights. I think this is more of a toss-up. I think you can get if you're looking at an underdog with some good value at 160. I think it's this Willie Cat Santos. But give me Julio Arce. Give me a decision on that shit. There it is. 6-6 on the last card, so we got to come correct on this one. I think I'm a plus 32 over 500 for the year so far. 32 fights over 500. So we're trying to get back. Usually these pay-per-views, I kill the pay-per-views. It's the little fight nights that are fucking hard to predict, because they're just like toss-up fights. All of them are just toss-up. Usually on these pay-per-views, you could see a little bit of a separation between these people. It kind of seems, these fighters. But that's it, motherfuckers. Well, I've been talking about I'm pushing the hour. Little man's over here. He's got to go pee. He's holding his fucking shooter over here. What else do I got? I mean, that's it, man. Keep your eye on my Pelis. We coming. We ain't done yet. I told y'all. I'm gonna try to get Batista. If you've seen the other cast, go look on. Hit up Apple. I gotta get these new ones on Spotify, but all the old ones are on Spotify. All the old podcasts. If you're digging this shit, tell your homies to tell your homies. Can you give me more than one motherfucking view, homies? One motherfucking view. One. Not even plural, motherfucker. Damn, at least they say when you're at rock bottom, you can't go anywhere else. You can't go, well, I guess I could get 0 on this one. So, I'm begging. Listen, I'm begging. I ain't too proud to beg on some TLC shit. Seth Gecko, a.k.a. Moody Motherfucking Hank, and I'm out, motherfucker.